So 25 years of running each, and that has never ever happened to us. Saturday 8th of March, the Tameside 5k, a new one on us. It's now what, about 2:30 in the afternoon, and driving over from Penistone over to Ashton-under-Lyne, it was showing as 19 degrees in the car.
Doesn't feel like that out here though. Oh, no, it's got a nice breeze.
It feels like 28. Sandbag number 1.
Don't moan, it's lovely. We haven't had sunshine like this for a long time.
I ain't seen the sunshine since I don't know when. I'm stuck in Folsom Prison. Time keeps dragging on. Not my words. Drop a comment below if you know who sang that. So arrived several hours early in time to collect our number and watch the other races. There were 4 graded races here, certificate of course accuracy. We were given our numbers and our timing chip to attach to our ankle, and we're going to watch some of the early races before taking part ourselves. Having got there with, as we thought, plenty of time to spare, there was time to check out the East Cheshire Harriers clubhouse and look at some of their runners running the Sheffield Marathon here in 1950. I wonder how they would have got on with carbon plate shoes and bicarb. Then we watched the first race, which was a kiddies one, and then it was time. I put a poll up on our community page to choose which shoes I was going to race in. So the winner is the Metaspeed Sky Paris. Thank you everybody for voting, and it's on you if I don't run very well tonight. So plenty of time for a good warm-up, so we thought we found the adjacent track, which looked very familiar from several years ago. So just an warm-up on the East Cheshire Harriers track, and we have established through power of 10. At Dawn raced here in 2010, did a 800 and 3000. We can't find me. I must have dreamt it. I think stick in the air, heavy in the legs describes the current situation, but it's a race. We'll put the number on, we'll give it our best shot. We have Tameside's World Cup heroes. We have Sir Geoff Hurst, MBE, Jimmy Anfield, OBE, and Simone Perotta of Italy. Fun fact, one of these also played first-class cricket for Essex in 1961, I believe. I'll let you guess which one, but if you do know which one of these famous footballers played cricket for Essex, drop a comment below. So far a lovely standard race evening, and then we thought we'd make our way down to the start-finish area to check it out and do our final drills and strides. And as we're jogging down, we saw the runners in our race going the opposite direction, and we were told that race C, which we were in, had already started. Oh my word, what is going to happen next? Yeah, but is it Chib?
Just wait 1 second, it's going to have to wait a second, Phil. Are we alright to have 2 starters starting now? Yeah?
Stick it down here.
Starts
here.
I'll start you off, let's go now.
Alright, is this...
That's the start. That's the start, and you're going that way.
I think that moment needs repeating, don't you? Alright, is this...
That's the start. That's the start, and you're going that way.
So just to clarify what happened there, the quick thinking race organiser had the person doing the timing to reset the start clock so we could go. It is a gun to chip race, which I was a bit worried about that would have like 4 minutes on our time, but he sorted everything out with his quick thinking, so many thanks to him. Here we are on the start line, about to go. We got something right, sir.
Right, off you go.
Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers. What? So here we are off on our own personal version of the Tameside 5k. Dawn has a quicker start than I do, as you can see. We've got the lead bike about to come round and overtake us with some of the leading runners. We're fortunate here in that this is a 5-lap race, so we are going to be in the race, although the wrong part of the race, for most of it. As I say, there was a series of 4 races. Another option would have been to jump into the B race. The range here was from 20 to 25 minutes. Now I'm obviously targeting under 20, but because we entered late, of which more later, that's why I was putting the C race, where as I say the range is 20 to 25 minutes. Just going to some marshals here who think that, wow, these 2 runners from Penistone must be amazing. The fella's got the lead, the woman from Penistone behind him is in second with a good clear lead on everybody else. What fantastic runners they make over the other side of the Pennines. Well, yes, if we're out of sync with everybody else in the race. So as you can imagine, our heads are both spinning at the minute, but all we've got to try and do is run a 5k as fast as we can and process everything else later. This is the site that the marshals and everybody else would have seen, the supporters. I'm just about to get overtaken by the lead bike and the chap in black who went on to win this particular heat, and the lady who is in second place here too. So at the minute I'm wondering, are lots of runners going to come streaming past me? What's going to happen? Because remember, this isn't like being in a normal race. We're just crossing over the finish area now. This is 5 and a bit laps. So there's that little bit we've done, and then we've got 5 complete laps to do. So yeah, I'm about to get overtaken by the fella who is leading the race and the woman who's in second place in the race. But I really don't know what's going to happen after this. As I say, we're both still trying to process what has happened and make sense of it all whilst making sure that we actually put in a performance. So we didn't have a chance to say what our targets were here. My C target was to get under 20 minutes. My B target was to get a season's best of 1951 or better, and my A target was to better the 1931 I did at the Battersea Park British Masters 5k back in early December.
I was here because the England Masters 5k is by qualification, so I was hoping to improve on the time that I'd done at Chesterfield, which was 21:47 I believe, but you will see what happened.
Excellent support out on the course in 2 particular pockets, one at the top of the track by the clubhouse that we just passed, and one a little bit further down. Now, content creator hat in mind, I just wanted to check, there we go, is the camera rolling, Bob? Yes it is. I wouldn't want to miss out on this footage, so let's put it back in and crack on with the rest of the race. Yeah, the other pocket is by the start finish area that we've just been through, so there's nice support all the way around. I must say, I do like these races that are organised by runners for runners. I think the vast majority of people here were members of local Cheshire, Greater Manchester running clubs, so great to be part of this scene that's within an hour of where we live. So although those 2 runners have come past me, I thought, well, rather than let waves of runners come past me as I figure out what to do, I might as well try and hang on to them. So you're going to see quite a lot of footage of these 2 runners for the rest of this race footage. Just going through the area where Dawn and I started, eventually in the right direction. I keep glancing down at my watch to try and get a handle of how things are going. And the pace I'm running on my Coros Pace Pro looks just about right for the 5k range I was targeting. So through the first kilometre in 3:55, which is around the pace I had been targeting, but that is on my watch, of which more later, but everything seems good at this point. The bottom part of the track, it's a little bit breezy now. There was a bit of breeze in the evening, but I didn't actually feel it during the race because I think my head was busy processing everything that had happened, everything that was happening in terms of executing the race, and thinking about what was going to happen when these 2 runners tailed off and finished a lap in front of me. Because this race is on a cycle track which sort of loops round and back on itself, I could see Dawn at several parts in the race. I could see she was in there. Yeah, she was getting overtaken by some people, but at least in a race and not totally isolated as would have happened had this been a 1-lap course. Yeah, great support on that part of the course. A few shouts of well done John, and plenty of shouts for Sarah, who is the lady in front of me, very popular from one of the local running clubs. As I say, even though this race was mainly club runners, the kiddies race that had happened before these showed that this was a community event too, aimed to get people into some physical exercise. This race had been put on by a group called the Local Runners Podcast. We know of one of those runners, Dave Norman. He seems to be around forever as a very prominent and excellent club standard runner. I think he won the Manchester Marathon one year. He's finished very high up in the National Cross Country year after year. So yeah, it's a great vibe for this race put on by runners for runners, and you can see that in the quick thinking of one of the organisers and getting us started. So yeah, this is a sight that many people would have seen. One of these runners is looking serene and comfortable in the race. The other looks like he is working really, really hard just to stay on her shoulder. I said this is a series of 4 graded races, and this is a 20 to 25 minute range. I had wanted to go in the sub 20, but because we were late with our entries, there are only spaces left in the C wave, which was fine. Had we thought on at the start, we might have actually asked if we could have both gone in the B wave. I would have been okay, because the range was 18 minutes to 20 minutes. Dawn might have been a little bit at the back, although as the results turned out on the night, she wouldn't have been. I have passed through the 2K at this point a bit ago, and that came through in 3:55 on my watch, which is looking good, but I know that we've got 5 full laps plus the loop around the bottom, and I'm mentally dividing up the loop at the bottom into 5 sections and realizing that we're actually going to be a little bit behind on the watch, and it's going to read just over. So I'm bearing that in mind, but still sticky on these two runners. I'm on my 3rd lap now. I think they're on their 4th lap, so I'm aware that on the last lap they might be winding it up for that big finish. As this is a 5-lap race, we're also starting to overtake some runners now.
So in terms of my race, let me see. Well, when I set off, I was in a little bit of panic, I have to admit, and it took me a little while to get my breathing under control. I was aware that at some point I was going to be overtaken by the leaders. This felt a little bit odd, if I'm truthful. But anyhow, I set off. I thought to myself, you've just got to keep calm here. Don't set off too fast. But somehow I ended up in front of John for the first, maybe 50 metres or so. I think I invited him to join me at one point. John went past, and then as we went past the finish, by this stage, the runners behind me, I could hear them come in, and the marshal said, lead runners coming through. So I thought, just keep to the right at this point because they'll go around me. I was overtaken, and I just sort of clung onto the back of those thinking, well, at least they'll pull me through a little bit, and I'm not on my own, so it doesn't look odd when we go past the supporters that this woman is out leading the race. So yes, I was overtaken by quite a few, but I was actually quite glad of this because it really sort of made me feel like I was part of the race rather than running the race on my own. But then at some point I did end up on my own again, and if I'm truthful, I wasn't feeling great. At no point did I think to myself, this is on, Dawn. Although when I did glance at my watch, it did indicate to me that I was on for faster than I did at Chesterfield.
To me, I'm still clocking consistent times per kilometre in 3:56 on my watch, but as I say, I'm aware that my watch is going to measure slightly long. It's often the case on these cycle track courses because you are doing tight hairpin bends. The watch sometimes isn't in sync with the way the actual course is. Yeah, Sarah's doing really well, isn't she? I think I've just gone ahead of her, but this is her 4th lap, I think. So I do expect a big, strong finish from her. Certainly working hard now. In fact, when I checked back, my heart rate was 175, which was exactly the same as it was at the No Walk in the Park 5K in Chesterfield the other month, and that's the average heart rate I see across a 5K when I've given it everything. So no problem now with the effort we're executing. You can see the lead runners just pulled a bit of a gap on both myself and the First Lady, but yeah, no complaints. I've been in a race, I've been dragged around, and I'm like ready to give it the final big 1.5 kilometres. First Lady winding up here for a big finish. Well done to her.
I know she is. It actually drags me along a little bit in this 4th kilometre, which I clock in at 3:51, my fastest of the race so far. So yeah, the guy in front, you can see just in the corner of the screen there, is surging through, as is Sarah, the leading lady, and I know as they come through the finish area, I've still got another lap to go. Thanks to those 2 runners for the ride. They were the only 2 that overtook me, although I think overall in the race I finished 5th, so there were 2 people physically behind me but in time wise in front of me in the race. So let's get this last lap done and see what time we're going to finish in. Around the top of the course, and now we've just got to slam it down to the bottom, do a little loop, and we've finished. So my watch actually clicked over to 5k around this point, but as we know as experienced runners, you don't go by what your watch says, you go by what the official course measurement says. So we're just rounding the bend now. I think I've got about another 100 yards to go to the finish, so giving it a good push. I don't actually know what time I'm on for, because my watch was a little bit late logging in and starting at the start because of the rush nature of the start. So let's just get over the start line, and our finish time is going to be 19 minutes and 51 seconds, not quite what I hoped for, but I'll take that. I hadn't been feeling great all week, HRV was low, and as you see, I hadn't had a proper warm-up, so no complaints there. Pleased I've done it, and let's wait and see how Dawn is getting on.
Just under 20 there, which I'll take in the circumstances.
As for me, it was tough out there. I at times felt like I wanted to drop out, but seeing John on the opposite side a few times, I thought no, keep going, and I didn't want to look a fool to the people who were supporting us. So I crossed the line in an official time of 21:57. Not what I wanted, but I was pleased that I actually was able to complete this race. I'd never quite been able to get my breathing under control, and at the end I was feeling as sick as a dog.
And I was getting that last bit of dramatic content for this vlog. And it was now time to process everything that had just happened in this race. And also a chance to watch the other 2 waves of runners coming through the 2 faster races. But firstly, massive thanks to the race organisers. In fact, Local Runners Podcast, anyone that puts a quote from Ron Hill there, get going, get up and walk if you have to, but finish a damn race, pretty much summed up what was going through our heads. In fact, as I've said before on this channel, Ron Hill for me is the greatest British distance runner of all time, and it's great that this Local Runners Podcast on their Facebook banner and also on their quote reference the great man himself, and I'm sure a lot of these runners are running in his tradition that we see going around the track now. Cool down time now. I'd like to think, had we had a chance for a proper warm-up, I'd have looked just like this chap here.
So we get here over 2 hours early, get our numbers, sit around, watch some of the other races, go to the toilet several times, and then miss the start of our race. I was absolutely convinced it was 5:30 start. I'm going to check the email confirmation when we finish this cool down. But hey ho, there's always something new in running.
So yes, after the race, armed with said email, I approached one of the organisers, a chap who sorted us out at the beginning, and just queried it. He was very apologetic. It turned out because of the late entry, the guy who'd sorted out our late entry must have accidentally pressed the wrong key. But you know what? These things happen in running. We are more pleased that we took part in this race. We experienced the community event, the race organised by the Local Runners Podcast. Great vibe. As I say, these races really are put on for runners by runners, hence a complete lack of officialdom and no, you must do it this way, not that. There we are, even pointing us in the right direction, so we went the right way around the course. And yeah, we've had a fantastic night here, so thank you to all concerned. So we hope you've enjoyed watching this vlog. It's been a little bit of a different one, but if you have enjoyed it, please give it a like. And if you'd like to see us run races in the future, hopefully starting at the right time, then please subscribe to the channel. So until next time, keep on keeping on.
Keep on keeping